Okay, listen, here's the thing, right? I've pretty much been in alignment with Democrats most of my life, probably because my parents were sort of. My dad leaned kind of conservative, but my mom was Democrat, and my dad is pretty much, I don't know if I think my dad's like a moderate today. So I've pretty much always been in line with Democrats. And for the longest time, they were for border security. They even criticized Obama as being the deporter in chief because the Democrats opposed illegal immigration because it negatively impacts workers. And it was Bernie Sanders in 2015. Here we go. Bernie Sanders in 2015 said it was a Koch brothers proposal to allow open borders. Let me hear it again, Bernie. 2015 interview with Ezra Klein said, no open borders. That is a right-wing proposition because they want cheap labor. Was it? Was it, Bernie? Well, now we have this story. New spokeswoman for Bernie Sanders won't be able to vote for him in 2020. She's an illegal immigrant. Okay. Now, apparently, that's by her own words. She claims to be an undocumented immigrant, but we'll read through this. So what happened? You know, the Bernie Sanders I saw and supported was in favor of protecting the United States against unfair practices. He opposed the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He was very critical of NAFTA. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. Because it negatively impacted workers in this country. I had tremendous respect for that. I saw a Bernie Sanders who is speaking to the common people in middle America and willing to understand the nuance in politics. Bernie Sanders said, the gun debate issue is urban versus rural. And I said, wow, he's right. My friends in cities don't understand the needs of the people who live in the countryside. And there's not a one-size-fits-all solution for what cities versus what the more rural areas need. Wow, Bernie, being honest. I respected that. And then Bernie stood up and said, we got to protect our borders. No free trade agreements. Well, critical of free trade agreements. That's why a lot of people told me they switched from Bernie to Trump. Because, you know, I met a bunch of older guys on the campaign trail. I went to dozens of Trump rallies. And a lot of people said they were for Bernie after the Democrats stole it. They said, well, who's the other candidate who's opposing these trade agreements? Trump. That's why they voted for him. So this is rather interesting. Bernie Sanders' newest deputy national press secretary won't be able to cast a vote for her boss in the 2020 presidential election. That's because Belen Sisa, a millennial Arizona left-wing activist who joined the Democrat staff this week, claims to be an undocumented immigrant who is protected under the Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals, DACA. This is really emotional for me. I can't help but think of 18-year-old Belen, who felt hopeless and powerless to the anti-immigrant attacks and policies that were holding her back from her dreams, Sisa wrote on Facebook, recalling her younger self as she announced her new job. I can't help but think of the generations of sacrifice my family has had to do for me to get here. Never in our wildest dreams did we think I'd be making moves like these, she added. Sacrifices. Listen, I understand. There are people who want to come to the U.S. because the U.S. is a very nice place. I've been to these other places. I know why they're bad. But while we want to protect everyone, we can't. Resources are finite. And I feel like these far leftists don't understand that. Now, obviously, this woman is going to advocate for herself and others like her because she won't give up her power. And this is one of the inherent problems. People who refuse to give up ill-gotten gains. Period. This woman, I do not fault her because her parents brought her here at a young age, but to say it was generations of sacrifice as opposed to exploitation. Now, look, is the U.S. culpable for a heinous past? Yes, they are. America has received so much from foreign intervention, from regime change, colonialization. I am no fans of these things, and I would stand in opposition to them. But guess what? Over the past 100 years, international agreements have done well to get rid of these things. If we went down the list of repairing past discrepancies like, oh, 200 years ago, this was done to you, we would never stop. The only thing we can really do right now is try to mend the present to prepare for a better future. So that's why I tend to be in favor of DACA. I respect this woman. I can appreciate her working for Bernie, but it needs to be pointed out that at a certain point we can recognize you coming to the U.S. it's a complicated issue. Has the U.S. done wrong? Sure. Are there certain Native American tribes that were split by the creation of borders by foreign powers? Absolutely. However, at a certain point, we'd say, let's look at what we have now, do what we can to fix that now. And that means I'm willing to say I reject your notion that it was a sacrifice, but I am still willing to give you an opportunity. I think the fair thing that needs to be done probably is like a moderate position is DACA, yes. Border security, yes. Okay. There are young people here. They're members of our society. They are working. They are paying taxes. So far, so good. Let's make sure we don't allow an influx of criminals, gangs, cartels, and other people who would seek to exploit the system. I don't agree with what her parents did, but I'm willing to recognize if we can start today to fix this solution. Absolutely, Belen Cisa, however you pronounce her name, is deserving of an opportunity. And in my opinion, I think DACA is a good thing. I do. At a certain point, you have to recognize that there are people in this country who are friends, who are citizens, who are not citizens, who are community members. And we can, I'm center left. I want bipartisan action. I want to figure out how we help people like her and say, okay, fine, we get it. Your parents are more responsible for this, not you. Let's give them a path to citizenship or extended protections. Whatever that solution is, I'm game, because we can't just kick everybody out. No, we have to figure out how to find common ground. It seems to me like the Democrats don't want that in a lot of ways. And certainly there are Republicans who don't. But my understanding is that this was kind of the agreement Trump offered in exchange for the border wall, was extended protections for DACA recipients. Well, start there. I don't know. The Washington Post seems to agree with me. Start there and say, OK, we hear what you're saying. Here's our offer. Instead, it never happened. But it looks like Trump's going to build the wall anyway. We'll see where it goes. Anyway, long-winded rant over. The issue is, this is an individual who can't vote for Bernie. And I find it interesting that Bernie and many other Democrats were so opposed to illegal immigration, but now seem to be lightening up on this issue. And it's not necessarily shade that I want to throw at Bernie, although I was being a bit facetious and snarky in the beginning. We can look at the more extreme positions of Ocasio-Cortez, where she wants to just not fund anything if it means any money for ICE. Okay, well, ICE is apprehending criminals. They're apprehending drug dealers, human traffickers, rapists, pedophiles. She just wants to get rid of that, even if it means going up against Democrats. That seems a bit odd to me. Well, let's read on. The activist who previously went viral in 2017 after posting a photo of herself paying taxes in an effort to change people's perceptions about illegal immigrants repeatedly said she was brought into the country illegally by her parents from Argentina when she was merely 6 years old. Clearly, she had no control over that. I can respect that. She told multiple outlets that her stay in the U.S. is protected under the DACA program introduced by the Obama administration. In January, she appeared on CNN where she was described as an undocumented dreamer and spoke out about her immigration status being debated during the government shutdown. If President Trump truly cared about dreamers, if he truly cared about undocumented youth, he would not be using us as bargaining chips through his tantrum of getting a wall that makes no sense. Now, this is where I'm gonna give pushback. I do not believe Belen is in any position to argue against border security, considering what her parents did. Her parents violated the law, put her in this situation where look, Argentina, is this a joke? Like, listen, the median income in Argentina is something like $50,000. It's comparable to the U.S. It's the wealthiest South American nation, particularly Buenos Aires. So I can understand if she was not living in the city and her parents wanted to bring her here. But I take issue with someone who is here by the good graces of us willing to compromise and find a solution for her when they try to wiggle their finger at us who are concerned about border security. I certainly don't. A wall that makes no sense. No, the border barriers make sense. In fact, the Democrats voted in favor of it in 2006, secure border fencing. So now there's a slight in having someone who is here under DACA protections, which is the U.S. citizenry saying, you know what, we recognize the tough position you are in, and we're going to do some, we're gonna grant you this benefit. To then turn around and say, oh, your wall makes no sense and we're going to oppose you. You're not in a position. I'm sorry, you're not. And maybe that's mean, but I believe she should be protected, and I believe she should get a path to citizenship. But man, isn't it really crazy that we're at a point now where the Democrats, Bernie Sanders spokesperson, are speaking out against calls for border security, where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other far left members of the House are pushing back on moderates who agree with solving these immigration issues. My God, it's really hard to be socially liberal, I swear, because these people really push your buttons. If we don't have borders, we don't have a country. I understand there's complicated issues stemming from the past, but again, I'm going to say it. We start from where we are now and we try and fix towards the future. That means I can recognize this woman it should be protected and all those and all of that. And I respect her and I respect I respect her opinions even. I just take issue with people who aren't citizens, who are here under protections, because it's like if you had a house guest, right? Imagine this. I know the left is gonna start, spitting and yelling and saying, no, that doesn't make sense. But here's the analogy. You have a house. Somebody comes into your house against your wishes, and they say, but please, I have nowhere else to go. And you say, okay, fine. I'll tell you what, we won't kick you out. We'll give you a couple months to figure things out. And then when other people are banging on your door and you're like, I think maybe we should put up a door to stop more people from coming in, the guest in your house then says, well, hold on. That makes no sense. I disagree. And it's like, well, hold on. You're a guest here. We're respecting you. We're treating you with dignity. We're giving you a place, in our community. We're not going to kick you out. But we still want to make sure we can secure our borders. This is not even a conservative position. It's oh my God. You know what? I'm going to leave it here. It's a really complicated issue. I'll leave it at that. I tend to be in favor of a path to citizenship. I do. For obvious reasons. You guys know that I lean left in a lot of these issues. And it's basically because I think the solution to a lot of these problems is to secure our borders, because we can't have unfettered just people flowing in. But at the same time, it may be absurdly expensive to try and deal with getting rid of all the illegal immigrants we have here now. Regulation, in my opinion, tends to be a solution. You want prohibition doesn't work, right? Regulation does. So I'm not saying no immigration. I'm saying, oh yes, absolutely more immigration, just legally, right? Make sure we secure the borders and we can get all of these people who want to come in here through a legal process to make sure it works, because our prohibition doesn't. Then those who want to break the rules, we say no to them. And those who are here now, in my opinion, the answer is path to citizenship, DACA, but we end it now and we solve the problem and we move on from here. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like that's reasonable. I feel like it's reasonable for Belen. And again, maybe I was being a little bit too harsh on her. Maybe I wasn't. I don't know. I lean left. So I think I got no beef with her. I don't. And I think dreamers deserve to be respected. And I actually would appreciate a path to citizenship. I could rant on this for a million years, so I'm going to stop now. But it's rather frustrating when the people who are being granted these protections wiggle the finger at you and say no to border security. And it's like, oh, come on, man. All right, stick around. I got more videos coming up in a few minutes. I will see you then.